Well, hello, everybody. I'm so glad to see you guys all this evening. We had a bit of a wardrobe malfunction behind me. I was trying to get the wiglet together. and we had a bit of a problem trying to get everything together. So with that, I would like to just say welcome to our show this evening. And I hope that everyone had an awesome, awesome week. With that said, what a week we've had, right? I mean, there have been some very kooky things going on. And I think that tonight we're going to uncover a lot of stuff that happened. So I have a guest that's here already. Hello, everyone. Welcome as you come in. I appreciate each and every one of you for being here tonight. This evening, there are a couple of videos that I'm going to be sharing that I've recently published and put up. As a matter of fact, I have them set to go automatically on my channel at, let's see, 8:15 tonight. So 8:15 Central Time. Now, hello, Black Spring. Oh, how are you, dear? I'm so glad to see you. I hope that you're doing well. And then I also have Demita with me this evening. So happy to have you. Can you hear me? Okay, good. I'm glad you can hear me.
On mute, but yeah.
Okay, good. I had a bit of a wardrobe malfunction with the, like I said, I was trying to get the wiglet together.
Okay.
Got to get the wiglet together. A little too cold to be out here uncovered. But anyway, it wasn't that. It was just that this back here collapsed some, the blue that I normally have just went over. And so, yeah, I was sitting here and it just, and I said, maybe I should have fixed that before getting on. But anyway, it's great to see you. I want to start with you this evening because I know that you have a previously scheduled engagement, and I want you to get right into what your presentation is tonight. I'm excited. So you go right ahead, get started, and I'm all ears.
Hey, so I wanted to talk about just keeping ourselves in a place of peace. There's so much going on. It's so many stories, you don't know what side to believe in. So I really wanted to focus on staying in the middle to protect your soul, to protect your mind, because you just really don't know what the truth is. Tonight, that's what it's going to be about. It's so clear, the left and the right. You can turn to one station, hear a story, turn to another, and it's a completely different story. So it's our job. We got to figure it out. We have to figure out what we need to do to find that peace, to find the truth, and to be prepared for whatever is going to happen.
I have three sides of me up here that ain't working. Trying to get rid of that other one because I'm trying to get rid of the cell phone, but I don't know how. Let me see. Maybe I could do this. That sounds like good information, and I think that's the most important thing for us to do right now, considering the climate that we're in. We don't know which direction to go. There's a lot of people who are really despondent right now. They feel like they just lost all hope, and I think it's because they put their hope in the wrong place in the first place. And you made a very good point last week when you were saying to look within, to pull up your strength from in yourself, because inevitably you'll be able to, if not remember past things that you've experienced and you've succeeded, you can do something to help yourself stay focused. Talk a little bit about that. And then I'd like for you to just go on ahead. I'm going to give you the floor. You'll take the first several minutes. And then after that, when Kim gets in, we'll go ahead and let her bless the stage, as it were. And we're going to go from there. So you have it. It's on you.
Okay. First, we have an election that appears to be complete on one side, and on the other side, it's incomplete. And so where do we stand? Facts over feelings. We really have to look at the facts here. My concern is for all. There's 77 million people who think that they voted for Trump and he should have won. There's another 77 million people who think that Biden should have won. Then there's talk of corruption. I think what we have to do is put both of them aside and just look at our process as an election in the country that we live in. I think this is the time, one of the perfect times, to really examine, is this process, and has it been foolproof? It's definitely coming to the place where everything is moving to the courts. Some people believe that it's not, but we'll see. The way things work, there's the 12th Amendment, and there's a process that things must go through. I think no matter what side you're on, we should all be champion the process, because it's for us. If you really think that your vote counts, this is the time to see if it does. You know, if there's any type of corruption on either side, it's not good. And we need to hold everybody accountable. As I've said before, accountability is the key. And that means for the people and for the people we choose to represent us. So I think it's best for everyone to protect their soul by just calming down. Don't think you've won. Don't think you've lost. Let's go through this process and then prepare yourself. What if you've lost and you thought you won? And what if you've won and you thought you lost? We have to think both ways. I'm very, very concerned about my friends who supported Biden. They've had a long fight. They've gone 4 years fighting against Trump. I'm not completely sure that people see the truth in the matter. He's not a perfect person. I mean, I had to come out of my hate or disparity or whatever it was I thought I felt about him and just look at the facts, because it was becoming overwhelming. So when I looked at the facts, I'm like, you know what? It's not as bad as I thought. And it just had me keep stepping back. I already knew what I knew about Biden, was never happy about him, just dealing with it. So now I'm in a space like, you know, these wars that go on above our heads, they're very serious. And 2020 has certainly been the year of seeing it now and not later. So many things are coming to the light. So many things have happened that we never thought would happen in our lifetime. And I think that we all should take that same approach when it comes to this election. We need to be prepared. It's not like it hasn't happened before. We know about Gore. That's the recent one. He went 30 or 37 days contesting the election, and he lost. So we need to be mindful of those things. We need to be prepared. I don't want anyone to feel like their whole life is going to be in danger because one or the other has won. I really want people to understand that no matter who wins, the people have power. We have to learn how to exert it, and exert it in a respectful and responsible way, because we can. I'm with something called the New York Assembly, and it's assemblies across the nation. And it's just simple, everyday people who are saying, you know what? I sat back for too long, and I really didn't do as much as I could have done in my community to hold my leaders accountable. So these assemblies have come together to maintain, you know, the livelihoods of their own communities. We are partnering with the police. It's not about defunding them. We're partnering with school systems. We're partnering with every aspect of the community to make it better for all. I think this is the aspect that we all need to take. It's the only way to survive, you know, kind of decentralize everything that's been tried to put into a group. You know, when the group gets too big or when the crowd gets too big, it gets out of control. So I think it's time we pull back into our communities, think more in a smaller vein to maintain our power, and just be prepared. I mean, in the end, it all goes back to God, right? There's a circle of life. It comes back to you, which is God, because God is in you. You're in the image of God. So we need to lean on that more than we lean on man, because man is vulnerable to temptations, weaknesses, all types of things. So in our efforts as people holding on to that concept of God, we actually help our leaders. We remind them that God is in control of this earth, and that we are here to protect everything that God has given us. We need to get back to those roots and then come back forward towards the people. Put people first, before profit. I've said that a lot. It might seem impossible to do, but I think we're all going to be forced in that direction. Um, the facts about Trump, they're very, very serious. These court cases, the allegations, um, we have to listen to both sides. If you're just watching CNN, they're not saying anything about it. They're leading people to believe the election is over. They don't have any authority to name a president. They really don't. And it's completely irresponsible to society to lead them in a direction that may not be true. If things don't go the way CNN has been saying, I honestly believe that they need to be held accountable for inciting people into action, dishonesty, whatever criminal charges can be thought of in the criminal system. They need to be held accountable because they're being completely irresponsible when the information is available and they can report both sides. But clearly they're not. They're focused on one side and that's it. I think it's so unfair. And I'm looking at everybody in this world as my family, and I feel like they're being lied to. And it's hard to break through to people because this has been such an emotional year and 4 years. It's hard to tell the brothers and sisters that you love to calm down, to slow down, and be prepared because this might not be what you think it is. I just want you to be safe, because if it doesn't come out that it's Biden, there's going to be a lot of very hurt people and they're going to feel distraught. They're going to feel helpless. I fear that people will just start having panic attacks, heart attacks, just get sick and just give up, because they will anticipate that it's going to be the hardest years of their life coming. I think that's completely unfair. I just want everyone to be prepared and, get back to peace and love and respect for the world and everyone around you, not a particular group, a particular thing. We respect all things. I think that's what we need to get to. Thank you, Felicia.
I'm so happy you had the chance to go first because I think that is one of the most important things that we're sort of forgetting is the fact that, we are all a part of the human race. And when you think about it that way, it really sort of helps us to shed all of the garbage and all of the mess and the noise that's in our head. Right now, it is a situation where we have to really, truly, and honestly say that we don't know the direction that this is going to go. We hope that it goes in a way that keeps the country unified. And we do hope that people will look at our country and say that we came over this very well and that it happened and we moved on. I think that a transition either way is something that needs to happen speedily rather than stretching it out. And I feel like that because I don't know if people are ready for what will happen if it is stretched out and we have to wait until January. Now, one important thing is that the electorate, they already did their vote. That was already done. The general election, which we just did, may shock a lot of people when we do this count in December. It might shock a lot of people. That's something that we really have to be concerned about. But I think more than anything, what you just said a few minutes ago was so important, and that is everybody just remain calm. Govern yourselves accordingly and use your head. My family has, like most people's families, a mixture of people who believe everything. And that's cool. But the problem with that is it makes a heck of a Thanksgiving when you're figuring out who you're going to set where, and how are we going to segue? Maybe we can play games instead of people having an opportunity to say something. Maybe we can figure out a way. DJ Vision, hello.
maybe we can figure out a way to prevent us from even having to have that conversation. And I think that's one of the things that is everybody is sort of on pins and needles about. One thing I learned about this time and this election, I'm glad I did not vote because I can be able to pray for our nation, not necessarily a person, but I can pray for our nation. I can pray for the healing of our nation. I can pray for all sides without having any slants one way or the other. But I'm glad that I didn't, because I now know what not to do with family and friends in the future as it relates to an election. Because 2016, I lost so many family members, so many friends that sort of side eyed me, and I don't have them anymore. And I'm not saying that to say, oh my God, I just have to have them in my life. You want to be peaceable with everybody. You may not have even spoken to that person on a daily basis, but if you're like me and you experience that and you didn't do it this time, you see there's a big difference. And so I will never, ever, thank God, I learned from that. I will never, ever take sides again, because I really do believe, as I've touted over and over again, that it is just two sides of the same exact coin. And with that, I see we do have Kim Roberts in. Hello, Kim. Let me let you in. So good to see you.
Hi.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. Hello, lady.
Hi.
How are you tonight?
I am good. I'm so glad you had me on for this conversation.
We were just listening to Demita, who so eloquently, really wants to implore humanity for peace and just to calm down. We'll get over this. But it was very good. I know also that we were going to talk about discernment and being able to, delineate between what's real, what's not. And I hope that before you leave tonight, you can share that with us, because she does have to be someplace else. But Kim, just like we gave Miss Demita her opportunity to lay down her groundwork of where we're going tonight, I want to do the same with you. I'm happy to see you. You look beautiful as usual. Please.
Well, I heard everything you said, Demita, and I love that you bring that balance, because this is a spiritual time in our nation, and being able to be calm has, I know that for me this week, it's been something that I've really worked very hard on, staying calm and keeping an open mind about, just all the possibilities. And one thing that I've had to do is really filter the intake, filter the things that I allow to touch my psyche and come into my brain. And by filter that, I mean that, like, I have had to not spend much time on social media, because I feel very affected by the emotions of everyone around me, at least on social media. I have worked hard to just focus on the facts, and I am quite a pragmatic thinker. I feel very strongly that if we are able to discern fact from fiction, that, given the tool, facts, truth, that we can actually make up our own minds about how we feel about things, and we don't really need a lot of commentary, I think, at a time like this. I think that allowing everybody's emotion to come in to my space, it really makes it difficult for me to keep that balance that you were talking about. Media and social media right now is playing a very big role. And, I have a background in journalism, and I have a very difficult time watching what's happening in the media. I could use some terms like gaslighting, which is a very strong term, but I have to tell you that if it was never clear before, it should be very clear now that the media is not our friend. And when I say media, I mean social media in general, and I mean anything that you can tune on the television, anything, any channel. We're just not getting the information that we need when we are going to sources that we've always trusted our entire lives. And I'm talking about CNN, I'm talking about NBC, I'm talking about ABC, all of the media that we can watch on television. When I was watching it early, like in the process, I kept getting really upset because I knew clearly that they weren't telling us the truth. And I started to think about like the people that I love and the people that I know, that I care about greatly. I started visualizing them watching the mainstream news and really feeling like they understood what was going on. And it made me very angry. It still does. I check in every now and then just to see if the narrative has changed. And I will say that the narrative has changed from the beginning, when Joe Biden was winning, when we all went to bed and we woke up the next morning and he was winning. And I'm not coming from a partisan place. I'm coming from a place of truth. I mean, I don't make any put on any airs about the fact that I'm a libertarian, I'm a conservative, I am not a Democrat, and I am not very liberal. However, I am a lover of truth. And the truth is that we all went to bed and there was Trump winning by a landslide, like huge 10, 12, 15% gaps. And we woke up the next morning and he was practically being declared the winner. And I knew that something was not right. And I listened to the news and they were steering everybody that was watching in a direction that they wanted us to go, with what they wanted us to believe, and defied the truth. And it really made me angry. It made me sad. So, one of the things that I really want to make clear, and I, at least from my own analysis, is that, just like you said, Demita, the media does not have the right or the authority to declare a winner. And what we have is 30-40% of people in the country thinking that Biden is the president-elect, and that is actually factually untrue. No matter how much the media says it's true, no matter how much Biden and his campaign and our politicians say it's true, it is not true. This is one of the most, I think it's the most contested election certainly in any of our memories, but likely in the history of the country. There is a very credible case being made for the fact that 3.5 million votes may have been stolen from the president. Now, I'm not saying that because I voted for the president. I'm saying that because that is the case that's being made, and it's being made very well. And you won't know that it's being made very well if you're listening to the mainstream news. And that is disturbing because beyond who the winner is going to be declared to be, and the media is not setting us up for truth. It's for being able to really accept where we're going here. And it's going to be a very complicated process. You have 8 states that are being contested and credibly contested. There's media saying, oh, they went from, oh, there's no proof that there was any fraud or theft, to, oh, well, there's a little bit of fraud and theft in every election, to, oh, well, but there may have been fraud or theft, but it's not going to be enough to change the results. And that's just blatantly untrue. No matter who you voted for, no matter what you believe, that is a non-reality. It is a narrative that has been painted. And I just don't feel that we as a whole are prepared for what the potential is here. And the potential is, and I wish I had a crystal ball, to help you out and tell you, how it's going to play out. There are some very clear roads, some clear possibilities, some clear paths for President Trump to actually be declared the winner of this election, not by anything fraudulent or illegal, actually by following a legal process that the mainstream media is trying to say is an illegitimate process, and they're just trying to poo-poo it, and they're creating this narrative that the president is unhinged and his supporters are unhinged, and that this is going nowhere. And in the meantime, they're cutting away to Joe Biden and his office of the president-elect that he created, and it's not official. The GSA has not given him the keys to the kingdom. And so I just want us to be able to deal in fact, because every day I am seeing people just not dealing in reality, many thinking that they are, and they're just not. And the media is to blame for this. They are to blame. I've never seen anything like it in all of my life. Studying the media, studying journalism, I've just never seen anything like this. They have fully, like, that's the first thing that I think that we really need to get. We need to kind of get, what is the media's role in this, and how is it shaping, my mind? Instead of talking about how 3 or 4 million people have potentially been disenfranchised, they're talking about all these other things that are just erroneous, that they're just theater of the mind. And they maybe could be talking to us about the 12th Amendment and walking us through, like a lot of conservative media is doing, walking us through, what are the possibilities here? And until we turn away, till we make a conscious decision to recognize that we don't know what we don't know, until we make a conscious decision to turn off the television, like straight up turn it off and seek other sources for our news, we are going to be a populace that's probably 1/3 unknowing. And I think this is a revolution. If you are watching mainstream news, you don't know that, but there are some people that are really see this as a fight for the republic and to save this country, that it is not a bunch of unhinged Tea Party, wackos that are upset about this. This is, for many millions, this is a revolution. And if we can't be involved in a war and have 1/3 of the people not know that they're actually living in a battlefield, and the media is perpetuating that. And I would like to figure out a way, at least in my circle, that I can change that. So I can keep talking if you want. I sent you some links, Felicia, that I hope that that you'll be able to link up, that we can, maybe share with your viewers. I would like to be able to show, and I hope that we're able to do that this evening. If not, we can certainly talk about them. But I would really like it if we could actually show what the narrative is that the media is sharing versus what the truth is. And if we can touch a few people tonight that don't get it, or that are, still tuning into CNN, even Fox News. And one of the things that I hear all the time is how whenever I start, speaking about my point of view, or, facts as I know them regarding the election, I'll have somebody say, oh, well, you sound like you're giving me Fox News talking points. And that's when I know that I'm not talking to someone that's informed, because Fox News is not the friend of conservatives and Republicans. They're just not, and they have not been for a very long time. They are actually, in a way, I think that they're worse than CNN, because they have capitalized on being fair and balanced and presenting, a conservative point of view, and representing Republicans, and having, a very balanced approach. And they've written the coattails and made a lot of money on that. And then they have slowly abandoned those millions and millions of viewers who have tuned in for that. And then on election night, they just said, you know what? They gave them all the finger and said, we're going with the brainwashed media, and we are completely turning away from you. And it became very clear that night, and it's got a lot of, and that's another way that the media has impacted this. I think that, you know, Fox really disappointed a lot of conservatives with their blatant left-wing way that they reported the election results, and have been 100% in the tank since that day, not even allowing certain conservatives pundits on, not allowing anybody from the Trump campaign on, except maybe with a couple of different shows. And conservatives are really angry about that. I mean, that was really their last bastion of truth, even though it had not really been a bastion of truth for a very long time for conservatives. But they just went all out to give the finger to conservatives on election night. And it is the source of a lot of anger and disappointment for a lot of conservatives. So there are many alternatives to Fox News. I know that I haven't watched Fox News in many years. I mean, there's certainly a couple pundits that I like, but I'm into independent underground news that is all about giving truth, and not from a partisan perspective. And it is out there, but you have to seek it.
I'm so glad that you said everything that you said. It was eloquent, of course, as usual. And I have something that I am going to show right quick. And that is it goes to your point. For everybody out there who feels as if you have made the right decision on either side, this channel is always going to give you both sides. Anytime there's been something that I thought was a bit unique that our seated president did, or even comical, you will have seen it here somewhere on this channel, because I don't hide it. If it's funny, it's funny. I'm going to laugh. If it's something that I don't think was a wise decision, I've made my comments about that as well. Everything from the platinum plan we've covered here, all the way to him pardoning Susan B. Anthony. I found that comical, because I felt like if you were going to do that with anyone, and I did share that on the video, perhaps it could have been Julian Assange, maybe, I don't know. So there have been many things that I've said on this channel that shows that I don't care either direction. If you're wrong, you're wrong. If you're right, you're right. What both of these young ladies just spoke was truth. And that's one thing that I really hope that our country gets back to. Right now in America, we are at the place where if you tell the truth, you are frowned upon. Nobody wants you to say what is. We continuously forget the fact that we are a country, like most countries, that have rules of law. And we have statutes and things that are set up for us to follow as guidelines, right? And when we don't follow those guidelines, we end up in trouble. And so that's where I think a lot of the confusion for people come in, because letter A, people probably were absent during 5th grade government. They didn't take the government courses, or when they did take the classes, they were there in their body, but they vacillated and they were wondering what time lunch was, what they were going to have. What's my pet turtle doing at the house? So that is the one thing that I think is incumbent upon us before they write it in the way they want it to be. What is the law? What is the precedent? What is, whatever the topic is, learn to do some personal research. And I have been saying that for so long that it really does concern me now, because it looks like folks are just lost. And I think the lost piece comes in because you have not equipped yourself with knowledge and information. And even the Bible says that God says, my people perish for a lack of knowledge. But for those people who are watching this now or on the replay, I want to show you a video that I just published and just put up. I held 2 videos back today specifically for this show. So they are published now. One was published automatically at 8:15 and the other one I just published. So you guys are going to be the first that are in the chat to actually get a chance to see this. But this is so important to know. Who did you just vote for? And who is he bringing in tow, right? Who is he bringing with him? What does his party do? What do they believe? The people that he's bringing to the party to work for him, Leah, let's check this out. So right now, I have a video that I am going to play, and then Demita, I'm gonna I don't want, I'm gonna sound like a grandmama. I'm gonna ramage around in the email, baby. And pull out the information that you sent me, because I want you to be able to share that. And here it is. I named these Now This and little small weird names because it's specifically for the show. So let me share this, and then let me get over here and start this for you. All right, I hope everybody can hear it well. Here you go.
To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. Thank you. Richard Stengel, the top state media appointee for former Vice President Joe Biden's transition team, has enthused propaganda against Americans. He said, quote, "My old job at the State Department was what people used to joke as the chief propagandist," end quote. Stengel said in 2018, quote, "I'm not against propaganda. Every country does it, and they have to do it against their own population. And I don't necessarily think it's all that awful," end quote. Rick Stengel was the longest serving Undersecretary of State for Public Diplomacy and Public Affairs in U.S. history. At the State Department under President Barack Obama, Stengel boasted that he started the only entity in government, non-classified entity, that combated Russian disinformation. That institution was known as the Global Engagement Center, and it amounted to a massive vehicle for advancing U.S. government propaganda around the world. A committed crusader in what he openly describes as a global information war, Stengel has proudly proclaimed his dedication to the careful management of the public's access to information. Stengel outlined his worldview in a book he published this June entitled Information Wars: How We Lost the Global Battle Against Disinformation and What We Can Do About It. Stengel has proposed rethinking the First Amendment that guarantees the freedom of speech and press. And in 2018, he stated, quote, "Having once been almost a First Amendment absolutist, I have really moved my position on it because I just think for practical reasons in society, we have to kind of rethink some of those things," end quote. The Biden transition team selection of a sensorial info warrior for its top state media position comes as a concerted suppression campaign takes a hold of social media. The wave of online censorship has been overseen by U.S. intelligence agencies, the State Department, and Silicon Valley corporations that maintain multi-billion-dollar contracts with the U.S. government. As the state-backed censorship dragnet expands, independent media outlets increasingly find themselves in the crosshairs. In the past year, social media platforms have purged hundreds of accounts of foreign news publications, journalists, activists, and government officials from countries targeted by the United States for regime change. Stengel's appointment appears to be the clearest signal of a coming escalation by the Biden administration of the censorship and suppression of online media that is seen to threaten U.S. imperatives abroad. Before being appointed as the U.S. Department's chief propagandist in 2013, Richard Stengel was the managing editor of Time magazine. In the Obama administration, Stengel not only created the Global Engagement Center propaganda vehicle, he also boasted that he, quote, led the creation of English for All, a government-wide effort to promote the teaching of English around the world, end quote. After leaving the State Department in 2016, Stengel became a strategic advisor to Snap Incorporated, the company that runs social media apps Snapchat and Bitmoji. Stengel also found time for a fellowship at the Atlantic Council, a think tank closely linked to NATO and the Biden camp, which has received funding from the United States government, Britain, the European Union, and NATO itself, along with a host of Western weapon manufacturers, fossil fuel corporations, Gulf monarchies, and big tech juggernauts. Stengel worked closely with the Atlantic Council's Digital Forensics Research Lab, a dubious organization that has fueled efforts to censor independent media outlets in the name of fighting, quote, disinformation. But Stengel is perhaps most well known as a regular political analyst on MSNBC. In the Donald Trump era on the network, he fueled Russiagate conspiracy theories, portraying the Republican president as a useful idiot of Russia and claiming Trump had a one-sided bromance with Vladimir Putin. Stengel left MSNBC this November to join Biden's presidential transition campaign. He announced that he was tapped to lead the Biden-Harris Agency Review Team for the United States Agency for Global Media. This is Felicia Lockhart, and this has been the Lockhart Perspective.
That this gentleman here has a heck of a past. And not only does it have a heck of a past, it should help you understand what you've been dealing with over the past few years. So even though he just picked him up and he brought him in with him to now hold this position, he has been a part of this think tank or a part of the problem for quite some time. And so when you consider that and you look at what you get for your money or what you get for your vote, the confusion and the mass hysteria that has been caused over the 4 years that we've seen here, you would see who sits at the helm. And of course, there are other entities that have just decided never to let go, never to move on. It's like having the janitor that I always say, they just gave him his going away party on Friday, and he got the gold watch in the cafeteria surrounded by all of his coworkers. And on Monday, he ends up back at the school to finish cleaning up and to show the new guy how it's done. This, what you all are seeing right now, is it starts with a C and ends with a P. How about that? Because I believe in the weightier thing. I want to make sure that it gets out. So I'm going to say it like that. So that is what you're seeing, and that is what you have been seeing. The unfortunate thing is that we are at a very critical place right now because of where we are in the timeline of things. And no one has any clue as to which direction it can go. Again, thanking God that I'm not a part of what I used to be as far as, just out there, just cheering for either side that I had decided to vote for, even in my quest to remain independent. I now understand that it is the most powerful thing that you can do. And I always go back to it. And that's because I won't ever, ever back down from the spirit and the power of prayer. But if you just listen to that and you can think that it all just happens and we all just life's in a vacuum, things just happen, it's just okay, that is incorrect. This cat that you just heard about has been around for a very long time.
And Felicia, I have something, we want to talk about discernment, right? So that your show is powerful because in 2012, there was an amendment passed. It's the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948. There was an amendment passed in 2012. Obama signed it. And basically it allowed the government, the State Department, to spread propaganda to American citizens. And we certainly have been living in it. You can look it up. I'll put it in the chat if I can figure out how to do that. But it's the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948, which protected us from propaganda right after the war. And then come around 2012, the amendment just took it out. There's an article in Business Insider that talks about it. There's a general who is completely against it. He is concerned that, you're going to use the tactics that we use in other countries in America. And clearly with this election, the talk about dominion, the use of that in other countries to alter statistics and numbers, it clearly was used, or it's being alleged that it was used here in America. Something happened overnight, like pow, we have new votes out of nowhere. I think the voting process, if we're looking at it realistically, it would have never jumped as such. It would have been close, and edging out versus boom, you know? But that guy, he's very, very dangerous. There's a video where he's speaking and he's saying that he is rethinking the First Amendment. Like, they've really come into this self-centered position that they have to guide people on the earth as if we're not capable of guiding and governing ourselves. A bunch of people who have gotten overwhelmed with wealth and power. This is what we're looking at. And they present it to us in such a way that it feels good at first. It's like, yeah, but it's not the truth. It's not the direction we want to be in. We want to be in a place where we're more empowered and the government is less empowered to tell us what to do in our lives. Clearly, this guy's dangerous. Clearly, he's been on the job promoting propaganda, and now he's getting his reward, I guess, by being appointed to this team that, you know, is being accused of some very, very serious things.
Absolutely. And, you know, that is part and parcel of the problem, is that it's been allowed to go on. The fact that he has so many people in his back pocket that is really, owes him something is amazing. Oh my God. I mean, everything. Look at what Andrew just got through bringing up. Andrew just brought up a good point. He says that that propagandist, and hello, Andrew, that propaganda scumbag clearly has sold out the bankers, the weapon corporations, and the new wannabe the plantation owners. The scumbag is a bona fide traitor to the Republic. You can't say it any plainer than that. I'm going to pull up for you guys the actual act so that you can see it. And it's here. So I want you to see it with me. And it's exactly right. All right, so let's see. It's the short title. It's the act may be cited as the United States Information and Exchange and Educational Exchange Act of 1948. The objectives. The Congress hereby declares that the objectives of the act are to enable the government of the United States to promote better understanding of the United States and other countries, and to increase mutual understanding between the people of the United States and the people of other countries, among the means to be used in achieving these objectives are an information service to disseminate abroad information about the United States, its people, and its policies promulgated by the Congress, the President, the Secretary of State, and other responsible officials of government having to do with the matters affecting foreign affairs. 2, an educational exchange service to cooperate with other nations in the interchange of persons, knowledge, and skills, the rendering of technical and other services, and the interchange of developments in the field of education, arts, and sciences. Now, here comes this piece. The United Nations, in carrying out the objectives of this act, information concerning the participation of the United States and the United Nations, its organizations and functions shall be emphasized. Then it goes on with the definitions, and we already know that's a bunch of legalese. Most important thing is that I'm going to put this link down in the description for you guys so that you all can get it and that you'll have it for yourself. But I think that it's uber important for everybody to know that all of this stuff has a plan. And the plan is your mind. The plan is information. The plan is preventing you from getting the information. The plan is having control, total control over everything about you. And that is what we talked about last night, both Black Spring and I, when we reviewed the movie 1984. Everything that you're seeing right now has been it's a ball that they've already fashioned. They already know how to work this thing. They already know how to work it. And that's the reason why it works. I weep for my culture. I weep for Black folks. That's who I weep for. I weep because we just don't seem to get it. Now, there are those of us who are in the chat and who are here on the screen that, thank God, we've got the ability to think for ourselves and make our own decisions based on fact, based on what we know is law, based on what we can find. And if we are in error, I believe God will correct us with that, because our hearts are open to learn and to have the information. But what truly bothers me is the people who have made the decision to walk blindly into a forest. They know not where they go. That, I feel, is a major, major problem and a disservice to themselves, because to understand what this guy does, to understand that it goes against what we put there in the link, to understand that and to still have that knowledge and to root this person on is a shame. And I really blame the Black Christians, because, hey, guess what? As far as Americans are concerned, I'm Black, right? We know I'm Native American and a whole bunch of other stuff, just like everybody else in the chat. But my point is, I really don't like what we have allowed ourselves to become. Even when we share with people what he has said publicly, even when we can show them the different legislations and the different laws and all these different things that he's been a party to, and his cohort, oh girl, it breaks my heart to hear people say, I don't care. What do you mean you don't care? What is it that you don't care about? Because if you understand the fact that I just explained to you that this person is dangerous and you walk on into it anyway, that's a problem. Because in about another 3 years, 2 years, actually post haste, immediately, you're going to see something that I don't think you like, especially if this situation does not come out the way that it possibly really should come out. Now, to piggyback on your point, there was a story, Demita, that I was going to do earlier today, and I decided not to do it because it had a couple of heavy hitters in it. And I'm a grandmama. I ain't trying to get involved in all of that stuff, but you feel me? Hey, I'm keeping it real. I'm keeping it real. I really don't. I feel like a lot of us have more information than we're ever really wanting to put out, because, first of all, people that's listening, we obviously see people in our culture. Who would I do it for? I would do it for the lovely, lovely people that come to listen to this channel. And I would also do it for my culture, because I want them to get it and understand that, just get what's right. It doesn't matter. Just do what's right. But the problem is, you could get wiped off the map and none of these people will give two rips about you, and they keep on doing the same stupid stuff.
For sure.
How about that? And so when I saw what happened in Germany, I'm going to say it like that.
Okay.
How about that? I'm going to say it like that. When I saw that, I said, here we go.
It's on.
It's on and popping. I don't know whether people are prepared or not, or if even the sleeping masses understand what just happened yesterday.
They don't. And may I add something?
Yes, please do.
Back to, because I think that, like, you've woven this story, but let me, from a media standpoint, kind of bring it to into some context. The Smith-Mundt Act, this act was created in 1948 or passed into law. Why do you feel that Obama needed in 2012 to modify it? And I think that asking ourselves these questions, like why, is kind of like we've got to be able to ask ourselves, like, if they're trying to steal the election from Trump, and I'm not saying that they are, I'm saying that there are millions and millions of credible stories about the election not being kosher, and people being disenfranchised, and that's being explored and it's being taken through the courts, and there will be a resolve that we may or may not be ready for. But why would the Biden campaign and the DNC and the powers that be, I'll say it that way, why would they want to steal this election? Why would Obama revise the Mundt Act under the guise of national security? Why would this man that you just played in the video that you showed, which I loved, why would he be tapped to have such an active part now in the Biden campaign? Why? And until we can even wrap our brains around the fact that, hey, you know, something in this election is not quite right, we can't even begin to ask the question, why are these things happening? And trust me, it's not just about Trump being a bad president and people just hating him. I mean, that has been a narrative that, and a story that has been woven and beaten into the brains of many, that we've had a president in office that many people don't even know. And maybe they still wouldn't like him if they knew, you know, what he'd really accomplished, who he really is. But the media narrative has been so powerful, and the war against not just the president, but on the people who support the president has really been unleashed and declared because of men like the one that Biden just appointed to such a powerful position in his new president-elect, whatever you want to call it, in his new organization that he's forming. But I think that when we ask the question, why would Obama do what he did in 2012 by changing the Smith-Mundt Act? And why is this propagandist that has publicly declared that he wants to explore getting rid of the First Amendment? Why is my Facebook page been taken down? Because I'm trying to just share truth with my little small echo chamber of people. Like, why are these things happening? And the reason is because there are certain things, there are certain technologies and certain types of weapons, psychological weapons, if I can use that term, that have been developed to protect us and to fight foreign enemies with, and they have been turned on the people. And then again, it asks if you can accept that, and you do a little due diligence and you find out that that's the truth. Why? And those are the questions that I wish that we were able to answer and to start talking about. But we're still talking about Trump being a racist. We're now involved in still, talking about the election. The next narrative in that progression that I spoke about earlier when I was speaking, the next progression will be like, look what they've done to steal the election back from Biden and give it to Trump, if in fact he is declared the winner. This is all on purpose, and it's been in the works for a very long time. Even Hillary Clinton, actually, in her emails, which if you haven't read them, you've done yourself a disservice. No matter where they came from, no matter who got them, they are real and they exist, and you could actually go right now and read them if you want to. She talked about how in one of her emails with Podesta that the people were unknowing and and under control. And I'm not quoting her in that email. I can't think of the term, and if you can think of it, Felicia or Demita, mention it. But she actually spoke of that. Why do we need to be complicit? Why do we need to be unknowing? And so there's so many whys. And I feel like for those of us who, I saw so many people waking up to some of these truths in maybe the months leading up to the election. And so for many of us, we're like, I know I've been reading and studying and hip to a lot of this for a very long time. And many of the people that are watching right now have been as well. But for many of us, we're picking up this book in the middle, and we have to be able to ask questions and admit that we don't know certain things and turn away from the media because they are invested in our unknowing. So I just wanted to actually share that as an appendage to what you were saying.
I'm glad that you did. Now we do have one of your links up now, and you put them in as link 1, link 2, link 3. What do we have on the screen now? Let me go over to that side. I'll take myself.
Actually, bring Demita back on if you don't mind, Felicia, if she's available to come back on at the moment, because she and I were speaking yesterday. Unmute yourself, Demita. She and I were speaking last night, and she sent this to me, and it was, it's basically the wording of the 12th Amendment. And it kind of is a little bit of a roadmap to where we could potentially be going. And I'd like you to speak on it a little bit, Demita, but I will just say this, that if our media was responsible, they would be preparing the people not for chaos and war and hate, but they would be talking about this because we all need a reminder. In our lifetime, we've never seen anything like this. And so we need a reminder of what are these pathways that we may be going down as a republic. And so anyway, but Demita, please, if you don't mind, because we kind of got to the end and we had a little disagreement at the end.
Yeah, well,
Give me just one.
Go ahead, Felicia.
1 second to piggyback on what you said. As far as the mindset that we have that the media is responsible to us, I want to dispel that and share with you why they wouldn't be. As an example, I mentioned Anderson Cooper. I mentioned that his mother is Diane von Furstenberg about maybe a few weeks ago. Now, let's talk about her for just a quick example as to why they would never be indebted to us or owe us anything, especially in the line of truth. His mother is a very close friend, self-admitted, very good friend of Mrs. Clinton. She actually sits on one of the boards that she has. Von Furstenberg sits on the board with Hillary Clinton. Then you also have to look at why do some of the entertainers do the things that they do? Why do they get up and turn into these soapboxes for any candidate or either side? Chuck Schumer's niece is who? I'll hold. Who is Chuck Schumer's niece? Who? Amy Schumer? Oh, really? So when you start digging in the rich and the wealthy, and you start digging in the people who are all these different things, start to wonder, why does this person act the way that they do? What is it about this person that seems to be a little indebted to? And once you start doing your digging, you will understand that these are all actors, and that these actors that are in media just do what they do, get their check. One chick gets $1 million a month. And so that's why it's easy for Fox News and all these other channels and all these other people to come out and say the things that they say and act the way that they act, because they are actors. So with that, I will let you ladies go on ahead and do your magic. Demita.
Yes. As far as the media, this is where I stand with them. They're expected to tell the truth. Like this is their mission, their mantra, that, we're a station that is reporting the news. We're credible. Our sources are credible. I think in that stance that we need to hold them accountable for that. And at the same time, you're correct, Felicia. We still need to do our own work, no matter what they're telling us. We have to fact check it as they're fact checking us. Over time, we've just become complacent and comfortable with media. We get used to watching a particular station and we feel like we can trust them. That's the mistake of the people, because what they're doing is, advocating for their own agendas. And it's clear that, if you're going to say you're a responsible journalist, be one. As Kim was saying, in this time where everything is so volatile, they are being irresponsible, and I will still hold them accountable, because as a responsible journalist, you are supposed to say the election is not over. There's a process. There's a process that you go through the Constitution of America. They're not even talking about it. The way we learn in school, we don't even know, right? We have to go look it up. So the 12th Amendment is what Kim and I were speaking of, and it's the procedure. It's a legal procedure that has steps and stages. What happens if an election cannot be decided upon? I'll have Kim take us to the end result of it. There's stages, Senate, Congress, states vote. There's all types of processes that could lead us all the way up to March, and the media is already like put Biden in. They don't have authority. And I still think that they need to be held accountable because they have millions of people that that depend on them, and they're setting up. We all know what's in the air right now, the tension, the talk of riots and civil war and all these things. And all we hear from the media, we're not talking about healing. We hear the one word, but we're not really doing it. We need to hear an overwhelming amount of healing, respect, and calmness, which is not being told. So thank God for your show and shows like this where people can come on and actually, have an alternate view. Kim, if you could just follow up on the 12th Amendment and let us know, like, where does this end up?
Well, and I will, let me share this. In terms of where what the possibilities are. I mean, I welcome anyone to kind of go and just Google the text of the 12th Amendment, which Felicia has up here. But just an abridged version is that, it basically, if the electors cannot, come to an agreement, if the either candidate at the end of the day ends up not getting enough sort of, electoral votes because maybe, one state, like let's say Pennsylvania, can't be certified, then that one state would fall to the states, and they would be able to vote in order to keep the people from the state of Pennsylvania, as an example, from not having their votes count. So our elected officials on the state level would vote for the people, and it would go probably along party lines, because the power structure in the government in the state of Pennsylvania is actually Republican. But that could happen state by state, or that could happen where even if it has to go to the Supreme Court, where the Supreme Court can basically say, what, like, we can't call this election for either winner. But the part that we kind of had a question about when you and I were speaking about this, Demita, was that what happens when it gets to that point? And we started talking about, like, there's a lot of people that think, oh, well, then, Nancy Pelosi is third in line and all of this stuff. And none of that is true. It would still be something that would be voted upon if we had to go to the House of Representatives and declare a temporary president. And so then you and I were actually discussing why would that not be Vice President Pence? Like, I don't really know the answer to that question. I kind of need a refresher myself on that, because it would seem to.
Isn't it because the vice president? Isn't it because the vice president is the president of the Senate?
Perhaps, and
he's
so
the president of the Senate, and that's when those electoral votes start running. He's the one who has. So I think that's possibly the reason why at that juncture it would. Yeah, probably.
But let me say this though: the fact that we're discussing this is something that really we need to be discussing. This should be the conversation. It should not be, Trump needs to accept it and concede, and his supporters need to give up. That is not preparing us for the fight that we're actually in, that the media is saying that we're not. And it's and back to what you were saying, Felicia, about the media not being their responsibility.
No.
Well,
I mean,
our responsibility to get truth from the media.
No, I think my point was more, don't expect them to give us truth because they already bought and paid for. You know what I mean? They have other motives. You know
That's true.
And yeah, but I mean, if they take the job, they should. But I mean, like somebody just said, I think it was Ronnie just said, he, for example, Anderson Cooper is American royalty. He's a Vanderbilt.
Correct.
So what does he need from us? What does he gain from giving us truth?
Well,
You
and
can't.
I will tell you this, that, I remember I used to love Anderson Cooper. I mean, all these guys on MSNBC and CNN and all of that, they were my friends. I mean, I like woke up listening to him and watching him and went to bed, and, so I get it. But, journalists actually have an oath that they take,
Mhm.
to talk about the truth and to share the truth. And it was the Smith-Mundt Act, sorry, that allowed them to not. And so we know that now and it's almost like propaganda has always been a part of the media, and points of view and slants and all of that. That's not a new thing. And that's why a lot of people just dismiss it. But it became on crack in 2012 under the Obama administration. And now they are allowed to lie to us with hardly any accountability because of that act of 2012, and under the guise of national security. However, it's the actual opposite. They're flipping that weapon around on us. So where we should be, and like we used to growing up, be able to flip on the television and gather around the TV and watch 60 Minutes and really feel that we were getting at least mostly semblance of the truth, or while we're cooking dinner, have the TV on and catch up on the news of the day in an hour. Those times are over. So for our friends who want to engage in dialogue about social issues and political issues and all of this, that's like now, if they don't do more due diligence than that, then they're not even in a position to have the conversation. And I hate to say that, but it's actually very true.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you 110%. But just to play devil's advocate, I want to ask this question, and anybody can answer it. Being that it was done by an executive order, I hear the president continuously complaining about it, and I'm playing devil's advocate about how they're giving up fake news and how they're doing this and that. That reversal was done by, or the whole thing to move it out of the way was done by executive order. It would appear to me that somebody who has touted fake news ad nauseum would have simply taken quill to parchment.
You know why?
Yes, he can. Hold on. Because it was, didn't he or did he not? Did he turn it into a law, or did he rescind it by executive order? Let's start there. Tell me that.
It was an amendment, so it's not an executive order.
So wait a minute.
Obama did this in 2012.
Wait a minute. I knew that he did that. He had it as an amendment?
It was an amendment in 2012. So it's the 2012 amendment to the Smith-Mundt Act of 1948. So he amended an act that was protecting us from propaganda.
So why couldn't he reverse?
Open the door for media to lie.
So, but why couldn't he do it if he did
open the door?
So why couldn't he do it too?
Who you mean, Trump?
And take it back to the way it was.
It's going to take an amendment. So that means it's going to go through a long process.
So how long did it take before we saw the fruit from what Obama did in 2012? Because we started seeing all kinds of false flags and everything almost immediately in 2012.
Yes.
So did he do it in 2008?
I'm not sure. I would have to look it up to see exactly when it was put into a vote, but it was signed 2012.
Black Queen, are you still in here? If you are, could you look that up for us, please? I know you're not feeling good, but please. She was supposed to be here tonight. So I'm like, please, baby, please.
And clearly, we are seeing it. Propaganda is a fine line between advertisement and propaganda.
And it was that guy we just saw, right? Wasn't it that guy we just saw? He was the one that did that, right?
Yes. He was right in line with it under the administration. And it went through the State Department. I mean, the State Department has clearly been a source of corruption. When you look at Hillary Clinton, it all came out of the State Department.
Okay.
If I may add one thing,
parts of our government.
And let me add one thing too about why, with the stroke of a pen, that President Trump can't just, create something to help the fake news. Even if he could, and I don't know if you can do an executive order to turn over, an amendment. I don't think you can. But I have two thoughts on that. One is just my opinion, and one is actually a relative fact. My opinion is that because he is allowing them to hang themselves, he is allowing them to show us who they are, because by him just telling us, that means nothing. But he's allowing the media to show themselves for who they are, number one. Number two, if you remember when he tried to do an executive order to overturn a part of Obamacare, and the Supreme Court said, no, you can't use an executive order to change an executive order by a prior or a previous president. He allowed that without any fuss or fanfare, because what he knows now is that the Supreme Court has now set a precedence so that any executive orders that he does put forth cannot be changed by a future president. So I believe he's going to use those really, really wisely, and let the media hang themselves.
Okay, so here's I do know what you're talking about. I think you're talking specifically about the whole Dreamers thing. Well, it was because it was because of the fact that all he had to do was to do an executive order. But what he ended up doing was having it go into court with legal documents, as opposed to just doing it the reversed. There was not a provision left in there the way that he took it to the court. There was no provision that showed how this would happen in the time period that he could reverse it. And that's what that was about. He could have, and that was one of the things that was stated, that he should have and had the option to just do another executive order to untie the bow tie of the last cat that tied it. But he didn't do that. He actually took a court, documents, and went into court and sued and did all this other stuff. And it would appear, and again, to play devil's advocate, it would appear that it was done, but it was done shabbily on purpose, because, well, even after hearing it and finding out that it was done incorrectly, ain't nobody ever fixed it. So
you don't think that, I mean, if I remember the decision on that, and I didn't mistakenly say it was Obamacare, but it was DACA, that it was actually in the decision that you can't reverse an executive order by the president.
No, that one he could have. And that was, let me look it up for you. But that's what the argument was. Once it was done, they said, okay, well, yeah, but what you supplied us with has no timeline as to when this will be rectified, when it'll be done, when it'll be finished. And so because of that, no, we're striking it out, we're kicking it back. You could have just done a reversal or done another, document to cancel out the last one, which is what he should have done. But if you look at how long it took for it to even get to that point in court for them to say, nope, yikes, get it back. I'm like, okay, so what's up now, player? You see what they said? Your strategy was whack. Go back and fix it and do it again. But nobody ever did that. So I'm sitting here for the person or the people who would say, but what about? Because I know for a fact that a lot of us want to believe that, there's going to be this rabbit out the hat. You know what I mean? Like, hey, watch me pull this rabbit out of my hat. And it's going to be okay. Everything's going to be off the chain. Everything's going to be wonderful. But we're a little too close to the end right now for us to hope that there's a second act that has a rabbit coming out of the hat. Does that make sense? You know what I'm saying? So, and that's all I'm saying. All I'm saying is, yes, I agree. If this was maybe 2 years ago, I would be like, okay, yeah, with bated breath, I'm going to wait and see what he's got up his sleeve. But right now, if he starts snatching stuff at his sleeve at this juncture, all it is going to be lint and little dust bunnies, because, dude, it's over. And again, playing devil's advocate, asking those questions. If that was the case, he should have gone back to the pen, and he should have just made it as whatchamadoodle, an executive order, and called it a day. But that didn't happen. And so when I see stuff like that, I sort of side eye. I'm like, yo, wait a minute. What really is going on? There was a young lady in the chat that just asked a question, and I'm going to bring Demita in too, because we could possibly answer it.
Well, in reference to the executive order,
yes, please.
I think there's a lot going on. You're absolutely right. Like, why didn't he just write something to correct it? I think just in a sense of things, he could have, but would have anything changed? You know, you're dealing with multiple media outlets and powers that be. That's like the one thing you can write an order about, and then it's going to take you the next 50 years to fix it.
That's a good point.
He did write an executive order November 12th on related to China and threats.
Mm-hmm.
So that was very serious to me. I mean, in the sense that if you know you're going out or whether you're going to be here, you set this in place to protect the people no matter who's there. And clearly China has been a problem for us. They've been quietly stepping in. This is not against Chinese people. We love Chinese people. We're talking about the leadership. And we're talking about the leadership that is not fair to Chinese people, that's trying to control them, and it does control them.
Yes.
It's made its way to America. It's aligned with American politicians. And clearly someone's made an agreement to hand over control. So I appreciate Trump's, efforts in writing that executive order, that one along with the child trafficking, things that have not been addressed and have been going on forever.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, in a sense, to just kind of pat Trump on the back just a little bit, having that power to write executive orders, he could have clearly written 1,000 and just done a lot of things. But I think what he's done has been strategic. And we also have to remember that it was Obama that created this ability for the president to write executive orders. And clearly it was in anticipation of not Trump being in office, but Hillary. So let's see what happens.
Okay, so let me get some clarification, because I know for a fact that when I go to whitehouse.gov, I can see executive orders written all the way back to Nixon. So clearly it was nothing that Mr. Obama did, right? And you're not saying that. Tell me what you're saying.
No, I have to look it up and give you the actual facts, but he made it easier.
Okay.
Where you could just, and Trump has even spoken of it, and he's spoken of why. Listen, we were fussing over stimulus or something, and he just said, I can write an executive order and just go over all of you.
Which he did, and he did do that. He did do that. He did the executive order. And when he did the executive order, I even talked about that here on the show. Because see, I say, okay, kudos to whoever did it. But then I'm like, well, wait a minute. What about this side? And that's possibly partly why I think the way that I do, because I can see what you did. That's good. But then I'm looking at this big old lint ball or this big old piece of thread. And I'm like, okay, but why didn't you do this? I remember exactly what you're talking about. And I do remember thinking to myself, then, excuse me, as soon as you fix that, why didn't you fix the other part? And here's a question that I'm going to give a question that one of the folks have here. Everybody, we want to thank you guys for being here. We have some dynamic women tonight with us. Of course, we are always welcome to have them. It is none other than Kim Roberts and Demita Miles, exceptional women that have great mindsets. They're intelligent and intellectual. I encourage each one of you guys to go to their channels, look and find them. Demita, I'm going to put their links as soon. I did that last time. I had their links, and Demita, so we'll send them to Facebook so we can send you to Facebook as well. And we'll get all that good information and type it in the chat. Or if you guys have your cell phones and you can type and put it in there in the chat so people know how to find you. And that way we can get you guys linked up with these wonderful folks. But we are talking tonight about some of the current events that's been going on. And we're trying to sort of piece it together. But I think the one major thing that we had to drive home tonight was just what Demita started with. And that's making sure that no matter what goes on, that we still walk in love, that we walk in decency, that we walk in respect, that we have the spirit of discernment and can be able to tell the difference between a lie and the truth. because if we keep our eyes open, then we'll be able to make it in this next step. None of us know exactly what's going to happen, right? But we do know that after the dust settles, we got to live here on this earth. Lord say the same, and the creek don't rise. And so with and with Kim tonight, Kim came on with some really good points as well, with the media, being that is her background as well. All of us, all three of us ladies have various backgrounds that we've done lots of stuff, but this is what she does. Okay. And so she came in to share with us some of the things as it relates to media. We just got enlightened on the 12th Amendment. Is that what you guys enlightened us? I want to get the right verbiage. The Constitution, the 12th Amendment. Yes, the state, the Smith-Mundt Act. We talked about that. And we also talked about the Amendment 12, the 12th Amendment.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I don't think you're going to get a lot of this kind of stuff from people who look like us on any other channel. I really don't. I really, really don't. Because these ladies are heavyweights. All right. They really are. And as meek and as humble as Demita is, baby, don't let the smooth taste fool you. And we, baby, don't let the smooth taste fool you. And with the way that Kim is as well, it's the same thing. But I think that's what this world needs. We need people who are warriors, but ladies at the same time. If you're a woman, you should be a warrior, but you should still know how to be a lady. And that is what these two nice women are. They are women and lady personified. So I want to thank everybody for joining us with these nice gals tonight. We have a few comments here. I want to say, Jeremy, welcome. I'm going to give the ladies a water break as I welcome everybody. Let's see, Jeremy Morrow, welcome. Andrew Brazino, welcome. Derek C. Williams, welcome. Old Head Deuce, welcome. I want to thank you guys for being here. The Real Dana, welcome, welcome. Ronnie Mann, we enjoyed you last week. Thank you for visiting with us. Welcome. Old Head Deuce already said hey, but Dennis the Great, Mr. Supermod, hey, how's it going? Welcome, welcome, sir. Alethea, I'm not sure if you're still here, but welcome. Sandy Aaron, hi. I'm so glad you came in this evening. And then it looks like that's about all that we've had that say. Oh, and there is Mano Munzo. He said, never, ever bet against Trump. And that's a good thing. 64 Hedgehog, hello, welcome if you're still in the chat. All of you awesome, awesome people, welcome. I'm so glad to see you. This again has been a crazy past 2 weeks. Sane and searching, hello, hello, how are you? These past 2 weeks have been off the chain. Last week, I really did not know what we were going to be dealing with. And then here we are this week. There is Demita's information right there, Demita Miles. You guys make sure that you pick that up, searching for Ms. Roberts. Ms. Roberts is on YouTube as well. I mean, she is on Instagram. Her Instagram is outstanding. Kim Roberts. Oh my goodness. Every time I go to Kim Roberts, and I'm gonna put her on here. Every time I go to Kim Roberts' Instagram page, I feel like I'm going to a tropical island.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my God, because her skin is always luxuriated and she's always got her face looking good. And wear my skincare too, girl. Don't forget my skincare.
I will show you the envelope right now.
But her
name on it.
Your skin is always looking luxuriated. You always have these wonderful, well-placed backgrounds. And I tell you, she has a beauty blog. And so there's just a lot of good stuff. And you guys are going to connect with these nice ladies, and you're going to connect with some people who have not only substance in what we're doing, but in other genres of life. I really want to find out more information, and I want a number or something about what Demita has been telling us about for the past couple of times that she's visited. I think that right now is the time to give people that information about how they can find out about how to do this so that we can start getting it underway right now. Because right now is the time for us to begin to organize within our communities to keep things in order. It's our responsibility by and large. And so I want to give Demita the opportunity to give us the information we need. And we need to solidify that tonight because I missed something on Thursday. But I'm going to act like a big baby later. But I wanted to give us the opportunity to get this information so that we can feel like we got a little bit more power in our hands to do what we need to do for our communities, right? Also, there's one other video that we're going to discuss. And that is, oh, okay. So let me just say this. Remember, I was just saying what you get for your money, what you get for your vote. Yeah. There's another video that we just did. I think it's like a 2-minute video. And it's specifically, it just came up, and it's specifically talking about somebody telling us that we just need to shut up and take it. Pretty much is what he said. That we just need to be quiet now. Just be quiet. And that is that we don't know what's best for us, but science does. And since it does, we need to just be quiet. Yeah, that's the video that just came out that I just did. And we're going to see that. But first, we're going to get the important business done before she leaves us. And that is for us to listen to Ms. Demita Miles share with us what she needs to share. Come on with it.
Okay, I'm going to be brief, and I'll also share it in the chat. There's going to be a learning Zoom call next week on Thursday underneath the New York de jure Assembly. This is the assembly of regular people in New York teaching other people across the country to form your own assemblies legally, respectfully. You're exerting your rights. You are, taking accountability and responsibility for your community. I'm going to share the link in this chat. You can also reach out to me on Facebook, message me. I will also chat with you there. We can talk physically on the phone. It's a process, and it's something that you have to listen to more than once, and it's not very difficult. And it's about you and like minds coming together, creating a community for yourself and outlining how you want it to run. So it's New York de jure Assembly. I'll leave the link in the chat, and I'll also leave the link to the Zoom where it's a public call, and you can listen in on the steps that it takes to form your community assembly. And you're basically the fourth arm of the government, and you are aligning with the people to address your leaders. And you're not there to kick them out. You're there to make sure that they're doing what you ask them to do. And you're also being firm to let them know that if you don't do what I ask you to do, there are procedures to remove you from your position without a vote. We don't have to wait 4 years or 3 years. If we see you're running amok in the city, there's a procedure that can take you out, and it's through the people, and it's through a process. So I will leave you with that.
And I like that. I think that is outstanding. I think that's good. And I'm happy to know that you're going to put that link in the description box for us, or down in the comment for us. I just queued up the video, and I want you guys to see this because somebody told us that pretty much we need to just hush. So let me get this underway for you guys. Let me start it right now. To receive an instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. Thank you. Can you guys hear that at all? White House advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci thinks that Americans have an independent the majority of Americans started following the guidelines, Fauci expressed confidence. Okay, you guys, I'm doing the Felicia because y'all couldn't hear that. Oh, it was frozen. Okay, we're going to fix it again. I don't know what was going on. I saw that myself and I was like, no, that's not good. So we're going to fix that for you guys. But you know, it's me. Like I said, it wouldn't be Felicia if we didn't have a little of that going on. So I'm going to go on ahead and I'm going to make sure that you guys got the volume and that everything is fine. Let me get that together right now. Thank you guys so much for being patient and being here with us, first of all. So we're going to start it. Let me get back here and let me pause it. All right, we're going to go open it up and we'll get it going here. And I'm going to share it with you now. There you go. Hey, R. Jones, how are you? Good to see you. There you go, folks.
To receive an instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification. Thank you. White House advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci thinks that Americans have an independent spirit, but that there are times when it's in our best interest to follow the rules. Fauci, speaking on Thursday at Washington's National Cathedral with other top health experts on the pandemic, noted that it is a bit unfair to compare the United States' coronavirus response with other countries. The United States isn't an island with 5 million people that can easily be shut down, he notes, so suppressing and controlling the virus is a lot more of a challenge. He said, quote, I was talking with my UK colleagues who are saying the UK is similar to where we are now because each of our countries have that independent spirit. He said on stage, I can understand that, but now is the time to do what you are told, end quote. Fauci noted that scientists have been perceived throughout this pandemic as authoritarian by members of the public because of the steps taken to combat the virus. He noted that it is unfortunate that science has, quote, been lumped into politics. In a divisive society, he said, people's willingness to follow the advice of scientists have been portrayed a political decision. Surveys have found that Democrats are more likely than Republicans to view COVID-19 as a major threat to public health. He said all of a sudden science gets caught in a lot of this divisiveness. But the majority of Americans started following the guidelines. Fauci expressed confidence that we would not need to shut down the country. Instead, he explained the virus could be brought under control if people wore masks, socially distanced, and washed their hands. In his view, herd immunity is not a viable strategy. It sounds simple in context of the ominous outbreak, but in fact, we can turn it around, he said. Fauci spoke alongside Dr. Luciana Borio, a member of the President-elect Joe Biden's coronavirus task force. This is Felicia Lockhart, and this has been the Lockhart News Brief.
You guys, I put that together because I wanted to talk about the fact that he's actually telling everybody what they should and shouldn't do. And I get it. That's what he feels his job is. But he has been in, as Derek just said right here, he's been since 1984, everything this idiot has said has been wrong. So when you think about that, it's very true. He's had this job for all this time and he hasn't had a win and everything has been sort of jacked up. But with that said, if you look at the context in which he was saying this whole deal that I just spoke about, it was actually creepy that he really would say, you know what, basically, you guys need to just be quiet and listen to the scientists. That herd immunity does not work. Well, wait a minute. Herd immunity, isn't that God's gift to our bodies? Isn't that the way he created our bodies to function and work? That by being exposed to something, we would build up antibodies and it would fight it off? I mean, am I understanding that right, Kim? I'm going to ask you that question. Am I understanding that right? Is that how we were made? Was our bodies made to fight off all kinds of maladies and disease and sicknesses? I think so. Oh, I think you're off. You have yourself muted. It says,
Am I
I
here?
hear you now. Yes.
In general, absolutely. And there are some countries that have been very, very successful with herd immunity. Sweden is one of them. However, it's not part of the Trump's team's mission. Like they're not utilizing herd immunity as one of the things that they're doing to fight the disease here in our country. And I'm not really sure why. But if I can add something to this, and I'll be brief, I swear. Again, it gets back to asking the question why. Why is it that all of a sudden now we've had this election, Biden is the fake president-elect, self-appointed and media appointed, and now all of a sudden Fauci and the rest are off the chain, and the mayors and governors of certain swing states are trying to shut things down and take us to another shutdown. And Biden himself says that he wants to have a federal answer to fighting COVID and wants to do another nationwide lockdown and all of these things, like once he's in office. And why? Why do they want to do that? And so I think, again, for those of us who aren't opening the book in the middle, that this has it's like an octopus with all these different tentacles. It's all part of the same agenda, which is a global reset and a push towards a one world government. And so I know I'm getting a little bit ahead of the question that you asked me.
No,
Pardon?
I said, no, please keep going. I enjoy.
It's all very connected. And it's the one thing that, again, if you go back and you turn on any television news right now, which I don't suggest you do, but if you want to test my theory, then you please feel free to do so. You're seeing that in the upper right corner, they have the election results showing Biden being the president-elect and declared the winner, which is not true. And then below, they have all of the new COVID cases. Now, I'm not a COVID denier. COVID is real. We can have a discussion about how it became real, where it came from, and all of that at another time. However, the fear around COVID is completely contrived by the media, by these, people that want to push us towards a global reset. And that's why you see it happening all over the world. Because I've had a couple of people ask me, in my opinion, why, like, do you really think that this is something that's, that is a false flag that it was set off around the world? And actually, yes, if you understand globalism and you understand the global reset, COVID is a part of it. And it was actually designed to help them win the election. So it's something that I'd like you to research on your own. And maybe we can talk more about that at a later time. But it is all by design, and the media is pushing the fear. And Fauci is, he and Trump kind of have their adversarial relationship. The media wants you to think that Trump's not doing anything for COVID and not listening to the experts, and he actually is. Fauci is not the expert. He is not the quintessential expert. He is an expert on like these, communicable diseases or whatever. But he is not the quintessential scientist, like, of the world. He's on the team. And I think that he's been built up by the media to be the COVID god. And again, like one of your, somebody in the private chat said that he's been wrong on every front. He actually, if you look at his record, and I'm not talking about my opinion, I'm talking about his record, he has been wrong on every front. His job has been to push an agenda, and he is still doing that. And I think it's no coincidence that he gets off the chain with his comments about how we now need to listen to the experts and do what we're told, after it looks like perhaps Biden is in the clear, and Biden's agenda, which is his agenda, same. He's never been on Trump's page, is in terms of what the media narrative is going to be going forward. I will say one thing about Trump's position on COVID. He has allowed the states, per the Constitution, to exercise their rights. So that's why you see different governors doing different things. And even underneath the governors, you see different mayors doing their own thing. And that is per the Constitution. And to federalize this would actually be counter to the Constitution. But again, we're not caught up on facts. We're caught up on, blaming one person or another and our emotions and our feelings. And wouldn't it be great if we had one person in federal government telling all of us what to do? Like, if you think that's great, I'm kind of sorry for you. I don't think that's great at all. But they're trying to frame it so that they're pushed towards one world order and the reset, or the federal government being big brother and telling everyone what to do. They're trying to make it look like if you don't agree with that, or Trump doesn't agree with that, then he's inept and he's doing nothing. And he's actually done quite a bit. And he's also exposed the governors who are not doing the right thing. And we could name them off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So anyway, that was just my 2 cents about the clip that you just played, and how it ties into what our theme was this evening, talking about the media narrative not setting us up to be prepared for what's happening next, whether we're
absolutely
or COVID.
Absolutely, and very good points. Very good points. I think that when you consider the fact that him and Trump really don't like one another, and Trump is he's a master chess player, to one of your points that you made a while ago, Kim, and that is that, yes, he's a very good chess player. He knows exactly what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's saying. I really do believe it, that even when he did that Fifi thing, I thought he was trying to maybe now that I look back, I'm like, maybe he was trying to give us a warning about COVID, because it said Fifi. But my point is that he is a very smart man, and he does know the art of war very well. But I think that right now, where we are with what we're looking at is a lot of individuals choosing not to open their eyes with all of the information that is available to us. I think a lot of people are choosing not to look at what's going on. Case in point, when I think about the governor in California, there's a story that I have that I'm putting some things together, and I'm sure you know this very well. There was a while ago where he said everybody needed to be closed, and then he opened up his vineyard with a restaurant. All the restaurants need to be closed. Then he opened up his vineyard with a restaurant. Just recently, you guys are really going to be in big trouble, and we're going to give you sanctions. We're going to do this to you if you do not limit your parties to, no more than 10 people and XYZ amount of family members from each household. And then just recently, he goes to a 50th birthday party at a restaurant with well over 3 families in the location, which is just indicative. It's just politics at its best. Do as I say, but not as I do. And then he comes out and he goes, "Oh, I think it was a big mistake for me to do that." Really? You think so? I feel so bad for my loved ones and my relatives and that still stay in California, as an example, because this guy is truly a lunatic. Now, to your point, do I think that Trump was accurate for allowing them to go on ahead and have their way? I do, because it does show the people that live in each one of those states exactly who they need to blame, and to Demita's point, who they need to hold accountable for what's really going on in their state. It has nothing to do with the cat all the way at the top, because he handles the federal government. But if you look at it like this, each state is its own country, basically.
There are states' rights.
Yeah, and there are states' rights, and that's just the way that things were written. We have states' rights. Demita, what do you say?
Let me unmute. So you're absolutely right. Each state is its own country. I mean, that's really, when you look into the Constitution and the laws, that's really what it is. Just learning through the New York Assembly, we're actually finding out that through paperwork, there's certain states that aren't really even states on paperwork. The deep down Constitution of every state. So there's a lot that we need to learn.
Other than DC as well?
Yeah, it really is. Like, you look for the Constitution in certain states, because people all across the nation are forming their assemblies, and they're having to look up the Constitution of their particular state and many can't even find one. Like, that's like, huh? So again, it's back to the people. You know, we've done whatever we've done to live our lives, got caught up in this and that. We trusted our government lead us without leading ourselves. So that's our responsibility, to do the work that we have to do to find out exactly, you know, where we stand in this system.
Are you guys having a party without us over there, Demita? Are you having a party without us over there?
They came to play.
I love it.
He's
I
like,
love it. But you know what? That's my grandkids do that.
I'm like,
my grandkids will come, they'll go in the kitchen and they'll be rummaging around in pots and pans and give me some green beans, move out of the way. And you're looking at them like, I'm live. But it's all that you guys are having. I love it. I think, you know, to me, family, life, just the real quirky parts of life, that's what makes it worth living to me. And right now is really a time for us to just let go. We're just so, everybody is just so uptight, and everybody it's not, but children have a way of just making you smile, bringing laughter, because they're pure and honest for the most part, unless you got Damien. I said that about somebody's kid the other week. I said, ooh, that's Damien Omen too.
Oh, you be careful with that.
but no, I have seen some Jeffries. You remember, I think it was the comedian Bill Cosby. He said that there was a little boy on the plane, and all while they were flying on the plane, his mother just said, Jeffrey, stop that. Jeffrey, put that down. Jeffrey, come back. He said this lady did this on the whole entire plane, that people who were trying to sleep and rest on the plane could not because of Jeffrey. He said, and then as we all began to deplane, all of the adults were cranky and tired because it took this long trip with Jeffrey running back and forth in the cabin. He was laying across his mother's lap asleep, he says. And then all of a sudden, grown adults walked past this woman with her baby slumbered on her lap and said, hello, Jeffrey, goodbye.
Oh my goodness.
Jeffrey. So it was like they were really mad that Jeffrey was having a good time. So if I don't call him Damien, I'm going to call them kids that I was talking about.
Call them Jeffrey.
We call them Jeffries. But anyway, I think it's good for us to laugh a little bit, you guys. Demita, you got to leave us, or how are you on time?
I need to skedaddle.
Oh, she's got to skedaddle because somebody else has her on their show. But look,
you're absolutely amazing. I love your show. I love your insight.
Love you too.
Thank you for inviting me. Kim, I love you, both of you.
Okay, but give us something in this chat, or I tell you what, you guys, I promise this is what I will do. I'm going to get everything that she just mentioned to us, and I'm going to put it on the community tab in the next few minutes here, whenever she sends it to me, because she's headed to do a podcast somewhere else. But we're going to get that information, put it on the community tab so that you guys can figure out how to start this process yourself. How's that? Is that good?
You and I emailed you, so you have it.
Okay, that was a good thing. And I got my cell phone right here. So thank you for joining us. God bless.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. And if I can add something to what she just talked about, because now, because I'm all about the Constitution, and especially as a libertarian, it's all about what my human rights are as affirmed in the Constitution that were given to me by God. And so with the movement that she's involved in, sometimes I'll see things and I'll be like, oh, that's just what, Demita's organization is talking about. Like, I identify it. So I don't really know, how it's that different, but I support her 100% in what, in what she's sharing. But back to the COVID thing and the media narrative, states' rights they refer to the political rights and powers that are granted to the states of the United States. And under the Constitution, the federal government is not allowed to interfere with the powers of states that are reserved or implied. And that's a very important phrase in the Constitution, reserved or implied by the 10th Amendment. So the president is under no legal authority to tell me that I must take a vaccine. He just isn't. And I'm not saying that other presidents haven't tried to, well, you can look at the regular states vaccine programs that they have now for different things. It's not a federal program, it's a state program, and every state runs their vaccine program differently, because the federal government or the president, they do not have the right to tell me as a citizen what to put in my body. Now, the states can mandate certain things. And so what I really would like to be able to say, as a matter of fact, as a matter of law, as a matter of the Constitution, without it being about the fact that I'm a Trump supporter, it's just the truth. He is not able to federalize a lot of these COVID mandates. And he's not doing it. He is abiding by the law. So now we have someone that wants to be president, that's 2 steps away from being president, that is saying, hey, I really want to look at doing a federal mandate for COVID, and maybe doing a lockdown for, maybe 2 weeks or a month, and seeing if we can eradicate this thing. He doesn't have the authority to do that. And why would you want your president to violate the Constitution? The only thing I can think of is if you don't know what your rights are. And we're at a point right now where if you don't know, it's about time that you kind of find out, I think. But I am not a COVID denier at all. I am not an anti-masker. I just am a believer that I don't need the federal government to tell me how best to take care of my family, or how best to behave during a pandemic in my community. Every community is different. And I see the bigger picture. I actually see COVID as being one, COVID is the vehicle that got us all voting by mail, and look at the chaos that ensued after that. COVID is the vehicle to keep us locked down and destroy our economy, so that the government can come in and perhaps reset it. COVID is being very politicized, and we can't even. I don't even want to get into all the humanitarian and social issues that are also happening about a virus that is now not anywhere near as deathly as it was when it first started. I mean, it was really horrible, and like the East Coast got a really bad deal. But then you look at states like Michigan, they have never been a hotbed. I mean, you may have certain cities like Detroit, etc. But why is it if we now know 9 months later that the virus is not killing children, and children are not the carriers that they were thought to be, why are our children still not in school? And you will see when you look at the lower right now, for the media companies whose job is to push the COVID fear narrative, they're showing COVID deaths. They're showing COVID infections, but they're not talking about deaths. So there's a lot of questions about what the COVID test is really testing for, and, false positives. And there's really a lot to be debated in terms of the information that we get from the media. But has anyone ever really taken the time to go to the CDC website and read what they actually say about how effective masks are, about the death rates? Like the media and the spokespeople on the team, like the Faucis, the CDC website oftentimes has to make corrections to what people are reporting and what they're reporting, but they bury them on the website, so they're difficult to find. So unless you're a sleuth like Felicia or like Demita, you're not going to see that information. And then you have people who just flip on CNN and want to argue with you about what the facts are, when the facts are really out there for us to find with our own due diligence. So, and again, so it gets back to the same theme that we've been talking about this evening. Like, why is it that the media is trying to manipulate and fool us and, create realities that are just not there? And if you speak out If you speak out on what they're doing on COVID, you're a COVID denier. If you question about the efficacy of masks, you're one of those anti-mask people. If you question the way that the media certified the election for Biden, oh, well, then you're one of those Trump crazies. Like, the media has helped the powers that be to automatically put people in these little boxes with isms and shame people into having a voice. And you know what? God put me on this earth to have a voice. I am guaranteed a voice in the Constitution. And I'm sorry, but I think that more of us need to start, really speaking out and asking the question why.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was a mouth and a handful and an earful
I know, girl.
and a load of truth. A lot of the things that you said, I completely agree with. But I think that right now, what we're dealing with is a purposed, these folks started out with a purpose to do what they did. And here's how I always think. I always say, look at a situation for what it is, and then it won't shock you when they do stuff.
Right.
I think that's the reason why you and I, this past week, have been talking, and we're totally chilled because we understand the origin and the nature of the type of folks that we're dealing with right now. And if you get that piece, if you really understand that these folks are doing what they were literally created to do, okay?
For sure.
Then it won't blow your mind when you have to see these. Now, I did do a report about 2 months ago where the state of Texas, as well, it was a piggyback also on with the CDC's website, where they were specifically saying that there was this large number that this little small city in Texas said, oh no, you're going to get this right and you're going to fix it now. I think it was not Colleen, it was Cullen, I believe Cullen or Cullum, Texas, where they said those numbers are outrageous. We have not had that traffic in this county in our hospitals. There's something wrong. So they did an independent audit, and they did an audit of it, and they found that the numbers were wrong. Well, again, it's all propaganda. It's what a person believes. It's what they see and what they have that come in their ear gates and in their eye gates that goes down inside their soul. It breathes inside the heart, and out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth will speak. Out of the abundance of what you've got written on your heart, your mouth and your life is going to steer in that direction. These tactics that are being used they've been perfected to a point where they're 100% sure that if they give a story, that they're going to get the results that they're looking for.
It's psychological warfare.
And so these things should not get us all worried or distraught. And that's not what we're trying to do, folks. We're trying to wake people up to let you see, dig a little deeper, because the answers are generally right there in your face. And, I wish that I could say this without people thinking that, I feel like our families that are out there that have us in their family, that have Kim's family, my extended family, Derek's extended family, everybody, although I know Derek is the type of person, he's just going to be him and he ain't going to care. And we're the same way, but Derek is like that. And so is Ronnie, and I'm glad that I have strong men that are a part of my channel because they are just who they are. You know what I mean? But I just feel as if what's going on right now is something that has been orchestrated to confuse you and to keep your eyes blinded. But when you try to share that with family members, you find out that there is a very thin line in that family relationship, because they will pretty much turn their backs on you, or they won't include you on certain things. And that's what I am trying to head to right now and say that if that's the case in your family, stop it and go and look up something. If you've got somebody who appears to be sort of zealous about a topic, don't argue with those people. Don't argue with your family members. Go and look at what they're talking about on either side. Look into it, find out the information for yourself, and then make an informed decision. And that's what we have been saying throughout this whole entire year, whether it is about the COVID situation, whether it is about the elections, whether it's about whatever. Look into it, learn the information for yourself, and then make an informed decision. Everybody should be doing that. It shouldn't be, well, my mom and them was this or that, and now I'm going to be that too. It shouldn't be that. It should be, this is what I learned on my own. This was my experience. This is what I learned on my own, and this is where I am today.
Let me share this, if I may say this about family.
Oh, yes. Go ahead.
And you know I like to interrupt.
Oh,
and I'm sorry, but I feel like we're on the telephone.
Let me tell you guys this, because Kim and I are friends in real life. We have grown a great relationship and a great friendship. We understand each other, and it's like yin and yang. So go ahead, say it. Sis.
I had a relative visit me not that long ago. It's just an anecdotal story, and so, you know, it was kind of like the elephant in the room. Like, he was wanting to have this conversation with me, and I kept, you know, just kind of avoiding it, and I didn't turn the news on or anything. And he kept kind of trying to push me into having a political conversation, and I just wouldn't do it. And so finally he confronted me, and he says to me, you know, please explain to me, I've been here 2 days. How is it that you feel like you know what's going on in the world and you don't even watch TV? You don't even watch CNN. And I said, okay. I said, we're going to have the conversation. And we did. And I tell you, he went to bed with his eyes big as saucers, because when I started running my mouth, I took him soup to nuts on how I kind of became who I am today in terms of, you know, what I understand to be the truth and my politics, which aren't always the same thing. And, you know, it was kind of a strained thing, but I will tell you this, that the next day he says, so how long have you been practicing this ideology? And I said, you know, the fact that you think truth is an ideology is part of the problem. And I believe that I am not a truther, because again, that's another ism that is applied kind of like the, you know, to people that you don't understand, but I just believe in truth. And I'm not into rhetoric or any of those things. But I will tell you this, once you see the truth, you can't unsee it. And I had a really great conversation with a very dear friend the other day. And I didn't interrupt her very much, so she got a few words in edgewise, which was really helpful. But one of the questions she finally asked me, and she's known me since we were 12 and 13 years old, she says, you know, I really want to understand how you made this change to being a conservative and being, you know, a libertarian, and what does that mean? And so it led to a great conversation, but she asked the question, and she's never asked me that before in these many years. And I love that her mind was open. And so I feel like, you know what, I'm not worried about her anymore. And I've worried about her. I'm not worried about her anymore because she's finally beginning to ask the questions. And here's what I know. I know that when you begin to open your mind, that you may not understand the truth to be, you know, what it is. It may be something completely different. And you can humble yourself, and you can recognize that you open yourself to a whole nother level of knowledge and gift of knowing, that you've been a blessing of knowing, that you have been denying yourself and not even knowing it. And once you see the truth, it won't, you can't unsee it.
Very well said. Very well said. There was something that we were talking about just recently as it relates to the whole, are you going to be made to get a shot or not, or to take this thing? And they've been talking about it in the chat. And it's so ironic, because this is exactly what I am making a video about right now. I have a whole bunch of stuff that's on the cutting room floor. And so in the next couple of days, you guys are going to see a bombardment of videos, commentaries, videos, news briefs that are still relevant right now. But the one thing I want everybody to understand is, I said to somebody just recently that I got a vision that a lot of people were, because I liken this vaccine to the mark, part of the mark, because a lot of people don't understand what the mark of the beast is. I think a lot of people just think that it's the 3 numbers and all that stuff and everything, but it's an actual system, a system of things that all have to work together at the same time in order for us to be enshrined in this garbage that's going to happen. But the one thing you want to understand is, how would it be made that people could not buy or sell? How could something ever happen where you couldn't? If you look at that passage where it says you would not be able to buy anything, you would not be able to sell, you would not be able to do anything, exchange anything. It's because you have refused to receive something that you would not be able to get anything for free. So let's say for a moment that taking this thing was assigned or attached to everything that you do. And until you relent and until you do it their way, you're not going to get your food stamps. If you are a person who has food stamps, you're not going to get your public housing if you don't do it. You're not going to get your medical if you have medical, Medicaid, Medicare, whatever. You're not going to get it, right? What happens if by taking this or not taking this, you won't be able to do anything? What happens if you have to have this to fly and travel? Are you going to believe that this is a part of that beast system then? What happens if you can't go to the next state if you don't have a little certificate showing that you have had it? What happens then? Do you just stay in the house and say, it's okay, the government will take care of me? What happens? How do you deal with that? How do you put that in a compartment? How do you compartmentalize that? It's just a question. How do you do that? How do you put together the fact that if you don't do it, then possibly, because, well, all of these are just rhetorical questions, right? Just questions. How would you deal with the fact that you won't be able to have large gatherings of more than 3 people at your home? How if you didn't get it, how are you going to rationalize that? So now let's go back. A lot of people have always said, as they were growing up, I'll never take the mark. There's no way I'm ever going to take that mark. They can do whatever. Oh God. Oh, how do you say in the old school churches? Oh, Jesus. Oh, Jesus. I know I'm never going to take it. They'll never take it, right? Let me tell you something. There's going to be a lot more people who look like us taking it than they know, because I guarantee you that they're going to slip it in so very subtly that they will find themselves taking it just to survive. And that is the danger, because now you will think that if you don't have it, that you will not be able to survive. You will not be able to live. So what does that mean? That means you're putting your trust in that system in order for you to eat, in order for you to buy, in order for you to sell, in order for you to visit with your family, in order for your family to be able to come visit with you, in order for you to drive across the state, in order for you to get in the airplane, you're going to have this little certificate or this thing or this scanner that shows that you have been tested and that you have been inoculated. What are you going to do then? How do you rationalize that? Again, what compartment do you put that in? So a lot of people are going to take it. A lot of people are going to take it. When the Most High showed me that in my kitchen the other day, that a lot of people were going to take it, and I just couldn't understand that. I said, I don't understand that. He said, don't you remember the story of the one brother that came out of the field and he saw his brother and he was starving? Basically, he had just come out and he was in the field, out in the wilderness, and he had come in, and there his brother was with this big pot of porridge cooking it. And he said, oh, brother, let me have some. And he said, well, what are you willing to give for it? And I'm paraphrasing. Oh, I don't know. I just want some. Just give me some. Tell you what, give me your birthright and you can have a bowl. Heck, for that, you could possibly have the whole pot. Sure. So he gave it up. He gave up his birthright. He gave up the essence of who he was. He gave up him just to eat. Have you ever been hungry? Have you ever really been hungry without any hope of what you're going to eat? Have you ever been cold? Have you ever not had no lights? Have you ever laid in the house on the floor because you don't have a bed and it's cold and you don't have no lights? Have you ever experienced true hardship all at once? Can't get no gas. Your cards don't work no more. Has that ever happened? Well, tonight I want to give you an invitation. And that invitation is to believe in the true and living Most High God. Yes, there is some hope. There is some hope. Up on Golgotha's mountain over 2,000 years ago, hope was sent to save your life and your soul. Because see, whether you know it or not, this little subtle movement that everybody has gotten involved in, where we think that it's just another election, they have told you what they want. They said that they're in a fight for your soul, the soul of America. They're in a fight. Really? You think that was something that was made up, contrived? You think it was just a easygoing slogan? You think so? I don't think so. Because your will sits directly in the seat of your soul, is where your will is. So I can move you to the left or to the right with your soul. If I can get your will involved in what I'm about to do to you, then I got you. Think it not strange that the things that you have heard and that you have seen over the past few months have happened the way that they happened. Do not get yourself so engrafted with one human being that you think that one person or the other person has your soul in mind when they create or make something up, because they don't. It is that they want your soul. Nobody's going to do anything better for you than what the Most High did on Golgotha when he sent Yeshua to die for your sins. So I want you to think about that. Next time you say, oh, I'll never take it. Oh, I'll never take it. You haven't been hungry? Remember that. You haven't been cold and hungry? You haven't been cold and hungry with no money? Huh? Yes, I said that. Think about that. The next time you proclaim that you're not going to take it, I'm not going to ever take the mark of the beast. Now I need to teach you what it is and what it's associated with, because it is directly associated with your well-being and your way to survive, with your standard. If you understand Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it's your physiological needs that will be deprived if you don't get with the program. So I strongly suggest that you get a good relationship. Learn who he is. Learn about him. Seek him. Seek out who he is and what he did for you. Seek out the end game. And what is it for humanity? What is it that I need to do? What do I have to do? What do I have to do to be saved from all of this stuff? Saved is a big thing. Somebody said the comments are in the way there. Let me move that out the way. But saved is a big word. When people say saved, I always hear people say saved. Saved from what? Do you even know what you in to be saved from? What is it that you need to be saved from? When people say saved, what does that mean? Saved. What must I do? What must I do to be with you? It's a good question, right? Thank you, Cedar Way Harris. Okay, that was a good question. What must I do? Believe in your heart that he sent him. Believe it. Receive that gift because it's yours already. Receive it. And then trust him. I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of things that you got to do. I'm not going to give you a whole bunch of things that you got to do. Because see, religion gives you all these things that you got to do. I'm not going to do that. All I'm telling you is that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Don't seek me, seek him. And I guarantee you that you'll find the answer. But let me just say it for all those naysayers out there that don't believe that he exists and that don't believe that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. Let me just share with you, for those of you who do not believe that these are the end times and that you've been hearing about the end times all your life, you may say, let me just share with you that if you don't believe, and if you do not have a relationship with him, and that you believe that not having a relationship with him and taking the shot is absolutely okay, and having everything else come along with it is absolutely fine, or, all of that, I hope for your sake you're right. I'm going to leave that right there. I hope for your sake that you are right. You guys, I appreciate you all for being here. We are going to close. I'm going to bring Kim back onto the stream with me. And I just appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart for being with us tonight. Thank you so very much. I plan to do this as long as I can do this and until they decide to cut the cord. Hey, but cut it if you may. I have a mission and I do have something that I am supposed to do while I'm here in this earth realm. So with all that said, you guys, thank you so very much. Kim, do you have anything else that you'd like to share with the folks before we close up here?
I just appreciate all of the things that you just said. And I'm not, a biblical scholar like you are. I'm not an evangelist. But I will tell you this, that, Biden is just a man. Trump is just a man. I believe that when we talk about taking the mark, I believe that the best thing that I can do is make an informed decision on who to vote for. Not a decision, because Kamala's the VP and she's a sister girl. Not because I hate Trump and, I just really want, to get him out of office. So I'm going to, vote for Biden, or, an informed decision. Now, I can't co-sign on what Biden or Trump will do in reality. I can tell you that in my due diligence, in my information, I understand that while I live in a state with a governor that will probably make the vaccine mandatory. I mean, our school system, the Cal State University system, has already made it mandatory to attend that you take the vaccine, and we don't even have the vaccine yet, not officially. But our president has said, people want the vaccine. I'm working hard to help to do what we can to get the vaccine, but he has stated on the record that he's not going to make it mandatory federally. And I don't want to vote for a president that says that it is going to be federally mandated. With that said, I think that no matter who you vote for, make sure that you vote your values and make sure that you vote informed. There's no way that I would ever vote for Biden, who said that it will be mandatory, that he is looking for all kinds of ways to federalize COVID mandates. That's a no for me. Sorry. I mean, and that, whatever that makes me, but I don't know. I could vote for Trump and he could win and he could say it's going to be mandatory. I don't know, but I can't control that. I can control that. I have one vote and I'm going to vote my values where this is concerned. And I also have to be prepared. I have to be prepared to move. I have to be prepared to be financially independent if I am not going to be able to get a job that is going to allow me not to have to take the vaccine. And anyone who has done their due diligence about where the vaccine industry and big pharma has come and who Bill Gates is and who Fauci is and who these people are and what they're doing to our people in Africa, just check it out. It's not fake news. It's real. And I have never had a problem taking vaccines in my life. I've had to take many vaccines in my life, especially traveling internationally. There are countries that you can't enter without certain vaccines. And I never thought twice about it. But I just saw that, I can't remember if it was Spain. It might have been Spain that said, oh God, she was a zealot. It might have been Australia, not sure. There's several countries that are going to make it mandatory for you to even enter the country. And I said, oh, you can cross that one off my list, or I'll never be going back there again, because I walk the walk. And so I just hope that people are thoughtful, that they do some due diligence and what they feel is best, and vote their values. And just in closing, with the fear mongering that is happening around COVID in the media is it's a crime against humanity, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. It's worse than it would be worse. It's worse being subjected to it and being a victim of it than getting COVID.
Let me ask you a quick question. So let me understand what you're saying. What you're saying is you're okay with getting a vaccine surrounding this, or what do you tell me what your personal thoughts are? You're saying you're not going to get one. That's it.
Oh, I would never. Oh, I would never, ever. Good. And I am prepared to make whatever decisions in my life that I have to make so that I do not have to do it. It's not like getting the flu shot. It's a whole different, if we want, it's going to, I don't even want to get your channel shut down by telling folks what's really in this vaccine, and the next level that it takes us to in terms of population control and all kinds of other things. And it is not, the information is out there. I'm just a mom. Okay, I'm a soccer mom that drives, a carpool, and if I can know it, other people can know it. Mm-hmm. And it's not an ideology; it's the truth. Mm-hmm. And so I encourage everyone to, with respect to the election, I hope you voted your values. I hope you voted informed, because we just may have a president that has told us bold-faced that he is going to do whatever he can to federalize it, which is against the Constitution. And listen, all of this being said, I don't believe that, I believe we have a responsibility to take care of our communities and the vulnerable among us. And so it makes it very challenging. And the poor are part of the vulnerable, just like you said. Those who are not going to get their food stamps, those who are not going to get their welfare checks, those who are not going to get their Medi-Cal and Medicaid if they don't take the vaccine. The poor are the vulnerable amongst us. But we're looking at people in a certain party that advocate dependency, at the same time advocate that they're going to take care of the problem that they solve, that they're going to solve the problem for us, that really in their policies that they've created, they don't want independence. See, I have worked really hard, and I have not always been, but I can tell you that I will be able to vote with my checkbook on taking the vaccine. Not everybody lives that way, and we need to get right with that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I appreciate that. I appreciate your candor and your honesty. Somebody in the chat wanted to know if I believed in Jesus, and I invited you on, Mr. Jason, to come. Kim, hold on. Jason, I did invite you to come on, and I know you say you're at work, and I'm sorry. I hope that you do get the chance to come back. So let me tell you a little bit about the word or the name Jesus, right? It was the name of Jesus that saved me when I got saved, right? And as I began to learn more about the Most High God, the highest God of all, because, well, there are several different gods, right? There's a lot of gods, but there's only one that created the heavens and the earth, right? There's only one. And so as I was going on my journey, okay, come on in and join, and I'll let you in. I'll admit you when you get here. But let me just add you to the stream. All right, hold on just a second, Jason. It's loading you. Okay, there you go. So hello, sir, thank you for joining me. So as I was in my journey of life, I was this really gung-ho person, just all into the Christianity thing. Oh, I just want to serve God. And I was happy to do it because my level of understanding at that time was there, right? But as I grew and knew more about the word, there were so many things that were unbelievable that I started to learn. And I understood that the basics of who the Most High God is so simplistic that we make it harder by accepting a Roman or a pagan mindset to serve the true and living God. See, when I was a quote, Christian. I still believe in God. I still believe in the fact that he sent Yeshua to die for me. I see that piece. That part I love, that part I accept. What I don't accept is Rome's hand in every single thing that has to do with me trusting and believing in him. Does that make sense to you? Oh, you're breaking up a little. It sounds like you're underwater. So just I hope that answers the question for you. Say it again. Oh, okay. Go ahead. Now you can speak. Okay. I know how it is. He's at work. He did tell us that earlier. And it's really bad because the phone is not giving him any justice. So for anybody who is asking me or wondering, what do I believe? I believe that there is a God in the sky, in the heaven, and the stellar heavens, and the above the heavens, and all of that created the heavens and the earth. Okay, that he said, let there be, light be, and it was. All right. And not only did he say light be, and there it was, he was the one who separated the waters from the water. I hope you can get that. He separated the waters from the water. All right. All right. And that's who he is. He's the one who put the sun and in the sky and called it, for day. He is the one who put the moon in the sky for the night. And he also told us that by the moon and by the stars and everything going on up there, we would be able to keep time by that moon. We would be able to do. So that's the God I believe in. I do not believe in the God that people have created, all right, that makes us follow pagan mindsets and a pagan lifestyle and a pagan way of life. That I have let that go a long time ago. I let that go a long time ago. All right, I let that go. So for me and my house, we serve the true and living God, the only one, the most high God. Okay, that's what I believe. And I just hope that while you're here with me, that you guys enjoy what we do. I hope that you learn something, as I've learned from each one of you guys. Kathy, hello, my sweet sister. I'm so glad that you are here tonight. Thank you so much for reaching out to me. I'm glad I was able to link up with you tonight. I'm glad that you are here. Oh, yes. I hope that that you're able to come back with us the next time we open up the chat, Jason. But you guys, I've held you long enough. I want to thank you guys so very much for being with me this evening. You guys make my, you just made my evening. I just love it. So you guys go on ahead, have a great night. Thank you again for joining us. And I hope that I see you again really soon. Take care, you guys. Be blessed.